What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the podcast. We got a treat for you today. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Estefeny Gonzalez, and I am a real estate agent.
So, just kind of given I don't know if it's a crisis. Like, what was it? Like, there was, like, the housing stuff just kind of pricing.
Oh,
It just got real weird. It got, like, kind of out of pocket. Like, a lot of people were moving, and then people were selling just to sell, take advantage of the market. Now things are
Things are regulating now. That's what a lot of people don't realize. Like, the interest rates that we're going in, they're still not that bad. Everything's regulating now. The last 2 years with COVID, everybody was at home. So you had people that realized that their home was too big or that their home was too small, and everybody was moving. That's why that happened.
Or they were getting out of places with very harsh restrictions and coming to a place like Tejas.
Yes.
Where it's not as
restricted.
And
you can actually be outside, yeah.
And in that case, they fucked over all the local people because they're coming in with California money.
Yeah, that was the whole thing. Like,
it was a
big thing. Like, it changed.
Sight unseen.
Mm-hmm.
$700,000 houses on land that people are just not even coming to look at, and they're just like.
Yeah, and it wasn't even that. When all that started, we had homes, like, the average price of a good size home was at $250. You had a good size lot, good size home. Yeah, it was nice.
Sounds good right now.
It was nice. And then
now $250 is a rental property, like one that's meant to be like.
You really don't find $250 anymore,
bro.
Like, unless it's like, it's a home that you have to flip. Not a good location. That's where 250's at right now.
I've seen 250 on the south side of San Antonio.
Well, that's about all you're gonna
for
find
like a 950 square foot house.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
that's
and not a very good
right
neighborhood.
Yeah,
250 is, and that's the crazy thing is like I remember like, now I guess this is way back when now.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little over a decade ago, but like when I was in high school, 250, 300 was like. That was a
well-income family.
entry level nice house.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you wanted a 2-story, it had some stones.
That was like.
But
I mean, like, a wealthy between 250 to 350. That was a wealthier family back.
But that's what I mean is like that was because obviously it's subjective because once you get, what do you consider a nice house, right? Like you have some of these houses that's like lakeside that's $3 million.
So I'm gonna say. In the city, a more well-income family will be in a 4-bedroom and up home.
So do y'all go based off of?
It's square footage, location.
Because I would expect.
Size,
I noticed when I was looking, location was, you would see 3-bedroom, 2 baths, 1,000, like 1,200 square foot single story house, but it would be 400,000, and you're like.
Yeah, it's the location.
I don't know if it's like. The location's okay, but traffic is horrible. Like, I don't know.
It's a lot of things that come into play whenever, like, you're really listing a home because it depends on what everything else is listing around it.
Yeah.
And then whenever you get a home appraised, it's up to the appraiser to say, this is what I think the house is worth.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong on any of this. This is just kind of like things that like I had, because when me and you've had this conversation before where I was talking about buying, and obviously that was a little while ago. Things have kind of sort of changed since then. But I know that like when I was looking, you were seeing a lot of opportunists. So they're saying, "Oh, well, I have this $300,000 like dollar appraised house, but I'm gonna put it on for $450 to see if I can." Capitalize on it. Well, now that fucks over the next guy that's in the neighborhood that actually wants to sell.
That's basically why our price is raised here in like our location. Because you had your home that was listed for $250, but you get somebody from out of state that's really, really interested in the house, is just desperate to move. Hey, I'm gonna give you $350, even though you're not asking for it. But it's kind of a mess up on realtors.
Yeah.
For accepting that,
because
it was the fault of people in the industry for most of that, because oh, I'm a realtor and I want the bigger commission, I'm going to take it. And then the loan officer that agreed with it. And it's just kind of like one of those things that.
So in that case, so like if you have a. Okay, so the process of buying a house, right?
Mm-hmm.
So and this is in an ideal world.
Yeah.
You come in, you look at it, you bid, like you put some money, you say this is how much we're willing to offer. Then it's up to the seller.
Mm-hmm.
To approve that, right? Then it moves into the buying process.
So it starts before that. So you want to go buy a home, I'm going to send you to a loan officer that can pre-qualify you for a home.
So you pre-approve and find your buying power.
You find your buying power first.
Then you go and look.
Yeah. So after you give me your buying power, I can tell you, okay, these are your options. We go
learning.
Yeah. So we go see your options. And then from there, you like a house. You submit an offer, and they can either tell you no right away, or they can send back a counter offer, and then that's when negotiations are.
So in the case of like what we were just talking about, where like somebody might come in from a different state that's a little bit higher value, right? So they're like, I think what we were having issues with was people were selling their $1 million homes in Cali. Because that's just a regular house over there.
Yeah,
and they're having
everything's so cheap.
Well, they're having a $500,000 buying power because that was equity that they had. They're rolling it over into this new house. Well, then you're screwing over all of these people that have to go through those first several stages.
Yeah,
because they're just like, I have $500,000 to put down on whatever, whenever.
But that's why you had That's why you had so much buying and selling, because even. While that was going on, well, why wouldn't I sell my house right now? You know, like if I'm sitting in this home and I bought it for $250 and right now it's worth $5, why wouldn't I sell it? But then that's where we're at right now, is we had that happened so much, and then now the market's starting to regulate and slow down because we're not having all this influx of people coming in. What happened is it was a seller's market, which means sellers are the ones at the advantage. And we're switching back to a buyer's market, but at some point there wasn't a buyer's market because there was such a high demand and there wasn't enough homes.
Do you think that there's gonna be an overcorrection? Because like I feel like almost any time that you have, and it's not just housing, it was everything.
In any industry, yeah.
It was everything. Everything was inflated. I guess it's still inflated, but I guess I think where I'm getting at is something is going to have to overcorrect, whether it be the automotive industry, whether it be supply and demand, the housing, one of those markets.
It's honestly just going to depend on.
It's going to have to, right?
It depends on how the economy is going to go in general, like as a whole.
Well, right now, I think that they finally admitted.
And all that stuff that's been happening right now.
Well, I think they finally admitted we are in a recession. So, with us being in a recession, now I don't know, do they make y'all have to understand all of that stuff going through real estate school?
No.
Because now this is all to my understanding, just stuff I've read, because obviously Google is all knowing and powerful. Never steers you the wrong way.
Never wrong. God, we love the internet.
The housing industry is completely based, like the market is completely based off of like the people that are, like, it's not really controlled by much. It's controlled by the people that are saying this is worth this is. So with that being said, like, don't you think with everything else being inflated, one of the things, like the people who are stuck in a mortgage that is too much, well, all of the other inflation stuff is affecting them, would you think that there might be more foreclosures? Like there might be more like turnover on like properties because maybe people can't afford it anymore?
See, but that's the thing, like real estate, I can tell you yes and I can tell you no, but real estate is so unpredictable. Because it all just kind of varies.
Well, I know we live in an area that's
pretty different, because we have, with military, you have people rolling in and rolling out consistently every 3 years.
Are they buying or are they renting?
Buying. Well, it depends how long they're staying here. But the majority of
It's like, I
of
know.
military that I've worked with have been
Well, like
buying.
this neighborhood right here,
Mm-hmm.
we won't need y'all Googling where I live. But we're not that far from a military base.
Yeah.
So a lot of the people
And it's
here
not
are
just this,
military.
Yeah, it's not just your neighborhood. It's this all the areas close to a base.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
It's all military.
But like we also have an influx of new people all the time because of that exact reason. So
that's why our market's a little different.
it's just
yeah.
well, not only that, we live in one of the I mean, we're so close to Austin that like I know we know the difference because we live here. But somebody moving from a completely different state, like if you live
that's close enough.
if you live in Los Angeles, you're like an hour away from Austin, they're thinking like, yeah, that's a short drive down the interstate. That's not.
Yeah.
So there's probably a lot of people that's like, Cibolo? Oh, that's a metro area to Austin.
Yeah.
And they're thinking, well, how close can I get to Austin?
My prediction is we're going to have a huge metroplex.
We're going to become DFW.
Almost, yeah.
But bigger.
But bigger. Yeah, because it'll be from San Antonio to Austin.
I'm glad I 100% agree. I 100% agree. And I
like,
think that it's ignorant to not think that.
Because you already see it in all our surrounding cities, you're starting to see builders buy up all this land. And it's actually a lot of land was already bought years ago, and they're just now starting to develop it because they saw this coming a long time ago.
Yeah.
So slowly, all those outskirt cities are not outskirt cities no more. They're just either a part of San Antonio or a part of Austin.
Well,
I mean, we still have New Braunfels and San Marcos and stuff, but...
So, I guess I only have, like, one differing opinion on that. And it's not really so much of a differing opinion. It's how are we going to grow it, right? So, is it just going to be a very long metro? Because, I mean, you're talking about the hill country. I don't think that we're necessarily going to grow outward.
But
I think we're going to grow straight up.
It's both.
I think it's going to almost be like a strip.
If you look at all the new developments happening outwards, like...
Well, you live in areas that is...
Yeah.
So, I guess that's true.
It's grown in the past 3 to 4 years so much, but...
How is it going down 46?
So that's where I was
because that is a direct
That's
road.
probably what will start developing next within the 5 to 10
But
years.
Is it
But
populated
it's
much, like, pretty much throughout?
Well, they're starting to build a lot of new schools.
Because, see, like, I know you have 46, but then you also have, like, the whole back area in Garden Ridge that's going to kind of...
So that's what
that stuff is still very rural.
Yes, but because they have a lot of companies that own
But it's
that.
also old... It's old
a lot
money.
Of old money, yeah. But what I'm getting to is... So, on the outskirts of Austin, if you go towards, like, Shipping Springs and then Blanco... all that is being developed already. Like, it's all of that starting to grow, and it's growing slowly. But the highways on that side of town, like, they're all set up to where it's a quick drive to Austin.
If we merged, we would be number one, right? We would have to be the biggest city. Like, would we be bigger than LA in its areas?
Oh God, I have no idea.
Because, I mean, you're talking, we're what? San Antonio is the number 6, number 7?
Oh, shit, I guess.
I don't know about now. I think we're, like, right behind Houston. I think Austin's, like, number 10.
If we were?
They're, like, 10, 11. You're talking about, which I think they maybe have, like, 1.5 million. We have, like, 3 or 4 million here. And you're talking about... How many people does New Braunfels have in San Marcos?
God, I don't even want to think about it.
Like, I mean, you're probably talking of, like, a guesstimation, probably 6, 7 million by the time it
gets
develops.
To that, that's a possibility.
I don't know if we'd take over LA. LA is huge.
Because,
I think that's like 13, 14 million.
Because LA is, like, here, and then it's out, and
but
then
it's so
long.
many different areas.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like here. We have so many different areas, but the way their demographic is, they're allowed to grow, like, out from the coast, or in from the coast, and then spread long ways.
Yeah.
And then here we would just be like a huge circle, but then you have a lot of land that's old money, a lot of land that companies own, and then a lot of land that's just it's not
So-
available to develop because of the geography of it. Because of
So
the hill
what do
country.
you? So if we were to merge, right? Because I think ideologies were pretty different in San
Austin versus-
Antonio.
yeah.
How do you think that would work?
Mm,
Do you think we would just be unanimously a purple city? Because our mayor is Democratic, but then Austin is. I would actually say that they have I think he's liberal, but they have a fairly conservative-minded mayor, like in the sense of like the homeless and so on and so forth. But San Antonio is a very.
But if you look at all the surrounding cities, they're
Most of the
not-
military, I think, is fairly Republican
Uh-huh.
or at least libertarian.
But then
You have a lot of like Mexican immigrants,
Mhm.
and then you have actual Mexican people, which I think are
a lot more Republican.
fairly
than people think.
Republican.
Yeah, I feel like that's a topic that's not talked about. Is like, there's more people that are. I wouldn't say Republican, but there's more people that are right-minded than is given.
I think
credit
most
to.
people are central. But I think if you come from a family, and this is just, I have a lot of friends that are first generation American,
Mhm.
and I've had conversations with their parents, with their grandparents,
Mhm.
and I think what happens is they come from a place that is almost no structure.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah,
they
you
come from
want
a-
structure.
So they come from a place that is very, that they see resemblances of like a very socialist aspect,
Mhm.
and they're like, no.
That's not the way to go.
We
yeah.
fuck that. We escape that. Get us away from it. And I do think, however, like the more generations, like they might be first generation American,
Mhm.
they also might be first generation college.
Mm.
Then they go to university, go to a college, and now you have professors. No, you're being oppressed, you're being this, you're being that. And then it's like, well, who's right?
Yeah. But I feel like it's not a who's right and who's wrong thing. It's if I feel a certain way, this is how I feel. I don't have to feel like the rest of the population. And
Yeah, but I mean, if you're telling a 19-year-old that doesn't know no better,
but then you start looking at media.
I
I
stay
w-
off that shit.
It was a topic topic of conversation that I recently had with a husband of one of my good friends, and they're all older and stuff. But anyway, so the topic of conversation was there's so many people that are more central right-minded than there is left, but because the left side is so much more present in social media and it's just so much louder, that's what the majority seems to be.
I think this is the way that I see it. And I've talked to some like political majors and like things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's easy to be liberal when you're young and don't necessarily understand
Taxes.
responsibility,
Yeah.
money, and how it moves.
Uh-huh.
Right? Like, I think you have a lot of like liberal people, and I'm fairly central, right?
Mhm.
Because cool, if you can find a way to do it properly, give me healthcare.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit. If you can find a way to make everybody's life better, do it.
Uh-huh.
Just don't rely on people that have more initiative, work harder
Mm-hmm.
to do that, to afford to pay people that have no initiative and are lazy.
But then do you agree with like everybody should just be the same?
No, because, and this is me regurgitating like stuff I've heard from other people.
Uh-huh.
People put in different levels of effort, right?
Uh-huh.
What you get from an outcome, you're gonna get that differently. Like, we were having a conversation earlier before we had started recording about like business and things like that.
Yeah.
Well, I may be saying, well, I want to get into business and I want to do this, but am I supposed to receive the same amount of attention and
That everybody else is getting?
and
Or that-
the
yeah.
outcome as somebody who's perfectly fine with sitting down and playing video games for 12 hours a day?
I mean,
right?
But what if that person is streaming and doing all the extra stuff?
Then that's fine. They're taking an initiative.
Mm-hmm.
But that that
somebody
is,
that's just playing video games.
but that is a outlying person,
Mm-hmm.
right? We can't judge the entirety off of outliers,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like we can sit there and say a woman's not as strong as a man. Well, there's outliers. There's women that could pick up a guy and throw him out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Depends on the guy. Depends on the
But
girl.
we're talking
Yeah.
about the vast majority of people. Why should a business owner who probably liquidated stuff, who put up stuff
Mhm.
borrowed against his own belongings that he worked hard to get.
Mhm.
Maybe he's had a house and he's taking out a second mortgage to afford to keep a business afloat.
Mm-hmm.
Why should that guy have the same outcome as somebody who has never been to a bank and heard the word no?
But I feel like that goes to the whole unemployment crisis going on. Like,
Yeah.
why would I work 12 hours a day, make $12 an hour, and I'm still going to be making the same amount that somebody not doing anything at home on unemployment? Like, if that's the case, might as well just be on unemployment.
Because it depends on the person,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So, here, and this is completely anecdotal, but this is me, right?
Uh-huh.
I was in the oil field for several years leading up to. So, what I had paid into unemployment, let's just say during the pandemic, I was making damn good money.
Yeah.
Like, I could sit there and not work. I could not do anything. And I'm making, let's just give it a $6,000 to $7,000 a month range,
Okay.
right? Because if for people who don't understand, that is part of the taxes you pay. You pay into an account
Mm-hmm.
that for that fiscal year, you can redeem in the case of
XYZ.
unemployment.
Yeah.
However, if you don't use it, it is what it is. You just paid to a ghost.
Yeah.
Somebody's getting the money, just not you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so I had the chance to go on unemployment, and I did for like 3-4 months.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't, but around the second, third month, I started getting the itch like, no, I have to do something.
Yeah.
I have to. Like, there is a part of me that I am,
But
I was incapable. There was a psychological thing that happened
No,
in
you
my
gotta
head.
keep working,
But it's
yeah.
like, I don't care if I'm making more money. Give me the opportunity to work.
Uh-huh.
And
But
so I took a
How
pay
many
cut.
people actually have that mindset?
But that goes back to what I just said.
Uh-huh.
People want the same outcome, but they don't have the same ethic.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't want to put forth the effort. Like, there's just certain people that are gonna work.
Yeah.
There's certain people that are just gonna relax.
Yeah.
And you're just not gonna. I have a hard time for, like, let me go back to my anecdotal bullshit. I have a hard time telling somebody that works in retail that you deserve to make the same amount of money as somebody who's in the oil field and working 15 hours a day and risking their life away from their friends and families and going through inclement weather and all of this other stuff.
Mhm.
I have a hard time saying you deserve $20 an hour and to make $120,000 a year, but you're not going to deal with
Any of that, yeah.
any of the other stuff that these other people that are doing that because, now with that being said, they're doing that because they can make a college level earning
Mm-hmm.
using manual labor.
Mhm.
That's why. Like,
Yeah.
there's a
Yeah, there's a
pro and con.
Yeah.
But then we even went, like, at least in this nation, where we went through a very real thing where people are like, I work at McDonald's. I deserve to make da-da-da-da. And I'm like,
Yeah.
but do you know how much an EMT makes? Right?
Uh-huh.
They make like $13-14 an hour. I don't know if that's changed.
Yeah.
Right?
So, like, how is it fair that I won't be getting paid $16 at Chick-fil-A?
If I call an
Yeah.
ambulance because I'm bleeding out, why is it okay that somebody that works at McDonald's should make more than the person that's going to save my life?
See, but wouldn't that go back to, like, the healthcare system? Because just for an ambulance, it costs an arm and a leg.
Okay, so I have an argument on that. Mine isn't so much on the healthcare system. Mine is regulation on what these hospitals are capable of doing. So they're private
Okay.
businesses.
Yeah, they are.
They're private businesses. So they have their free rent. It's not like they're a part of a series of like whatever it is, like a
Mhm.
major corporation or like a government affiliated thing where some are.
Yeah.
But they can name
The
their own
majority,
stuff.
yeah.
Like if you go in and get an x-ray, one hospital is going to give you a price and the other is going to give you another price.
Yeah.
Well, so what happens is, well, one hospital does this, then you get big insurance comes in, and now they're weighing how much can.
But like,
Then it gets really weird because now a big insurance is coming in saying we're fine with this price quota. Well, if this hospital can do it,
why can't I?
this other hospital is
Yeah.
going to do it. Well, now we have a broken arm victim coming in and spending $9,000 to get his fucking arm fixed. Oh, and he has to come back in to get another cast. And if something isn't right, there's another $4,000 visit.
You know how much it cost me when I broke my back?
Almost an arm and a leg.
Almost. No, it cost me $164,000. And that's just one of my bills.
But like that's so like I understand like the healthcare situation, but it's also like, hey man, who's keeping some of these places in check?
And like I had never thought about it that way, as far as like there should be more laws and regulations put in place to regulate those prices from all these hospitals.
Any business, if you give them, I mean, we live,
but then
we live in a commercial place. Like we live in a place where if there is something that needs to be done, I can name my price.
Yeah.
If I'm sick and I'm feeling like I'm on my deathbed, guess what?
But you don't think
there's only so much I can do?
You don't think that should be separate entities? Like,
I think that there needs to be a regulation that says, hey,
but then
there needs to be a cap.
But then going back to, well, they are a business. What's the difference? Like, you don't think that they should be separated in that way? Like, what'll keep them from capping a shoe store and the hospital?
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Like, no, I definitely understand that point, but I think that there has to come a place where it's like, enough is enough. Is like, and I think insurance hits that point, right? Is because they're very vocal about like,
a lot of things are a lot cheaper off, like.
But if you're doing insurance will sit there and be like, nope, this is what I'm paying and this is what I'm not. Like, I think that is and what happens is insurance will play the dumb game and they'll sit there and be like, oh, well, you knew, so you're gonna pay.
Your deductible
we're gonna cover this amount of money, and you're still gonna be in charge of $60,000.
Then what? Why am I paying insurance? But it's legal for me not to have insurance.
What is going on?
Yeah.
Which me personally, I think insurance is the biggest scam in fucking America. Yeah, like you pay all of this money while you're healthy, and then you have to make one claim, and now you're paying more.
Which.
All right. I get it, but what are you doing with all the extra money with the people that aren't? Like, I'm not a fan of insurance. I just think it is a complex situation that I think that is exacerbated because we've let it go so long that now a person that has cancer is paying $750,000 or more just like, and they had cancer.
Yeah.
And then they don't have access to certain health care because they have cancer and they're being dropped by stuff. And it's like,
because now you're a liability and I'm not going to cover you.
But anyways,
I'm a liability to insurance.
But I mean, going back to like what I said, those are reasons why I'm central. Because I also, with all of that stuff I just said, if you want better coverage, pay for better coverage, right? But I'm okay with there being a base coverage that says, hey man, you got a cold, you got the flu, come in, you'll pay $20.
That's one of those things where everybody should be neutral.
But see, that's a very liberal thought.
I'm a conservative hippie.
But so you're fairly central.
Yeah.
But then if you're a capitalist, like in the sense of like, hey, I want to make money, that's when the conservative aspect. I think you need both.
Yeah.
I think you need.
But that's why the parties were created, to have a balance between both. But I think
yeah.
that's not what it is now. I think everything is so divided. Like, if
I
you're
don't
a
think it's
Democrat, you're
divided.
wrong. If you're a Republican, you're wrong. It's like, I think it's really divided.
I don't think it's divided.
Why don't
I think it's social media divided. I think it's news outlet divided.
Uh-huh.
Go walk around your neighborhood.
Yeah, you're right.
Go walk around your neighborhood.
Yeah.
Is it bad? Are
No.
people hating each other?
No.
Like, I remember.
But, like, how many people can you actually have a conversation with without getting...
I think most people. I think the problem is we get on social media and we start second guessing our ability to have a conversation. Like,
okay.
I remember
I can see
one
that
day
point.
I was working on my truck, or I was doing something on my truck, and I had a black neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
But this was in the middle of the BLM stuff.
Mm.
And I had known the guy. I had already had several conversations with him before the riots.
Uh-huh.
It had me nervous to talk to him because I didn't know if we could have a dialogue, because I was second guessing the ability, like my ability to be able to, ooh, if I say something, is he going to like get upset?
Yeah.
If I like, and it wasn't even like I'm talking to him about the topic.
Yeah.
It's simply having a conversation with the guy. And then one day he's like, hey man, how you been? I'm like, oh my God, I had spent all this time worried about it. And I'm like, we're cool. Like,
Yeah.
there's not even an issue. We're fine. Me and him are good.
But then, like, okay, so what do you think media's purpose is behind that?
They're selling clicks. They make their money off of mass hysteria, like you being hysterical.
Yeah.
Like if you are freaking out, they are in business. So
Okay.
they're going to show you the earthquake that made a city fall into the earth. That's one place in the whole entire earth.
Yeah.
Everywhere else is fine. But guess what? When we think of California, we think of wildfires and earthquakes. Well, there's millions of people that live there, and it's like, well, it can't be that bad,
Yeah.
right? Like, they can't just always be on fucking fire. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, it was for like a year last year.
But it's the same thing. It's like
Yeah.
there is people in the United States that still believe in Texas that we ride horses to our supermarkets.
I know. I think that's the funniest thing ever.
They still think that we talk super slow and we're dumb. And it's like, you do realize that we have 3 of the biggest cities in America. Of the 3 of the biggest cities in the top 10. What are y'all talking about? Like, we're incredibly
Hey,
socialized.
we have great horse breeders.
Now, don't get me wrong.
I mean, it's true, but
With that being said, don't get me wrong. You go to certain places in Texas, 100% they do that shit. But for the most part, I think it's just a matter of, well, I can't socialize with somebody in New York.
yeah. Well, you can.
I can on social media.
Yeah.
But right, if they're sitting, but then I'm obviously gonna look at what they're posting
Uh-huh.
and then come up with a conclusion based off of that. Like, do I want to have a conversation with this individual?
But see, I feel like that's what social media has, so many pros but so many cons. Like,
But that's where I get back to, go talk to people.
yeah.
Go talk to people. Now, if you're a closed-minded individual and you're not willing to get your feelings hurt,
And it's not even about getting your feelings hurt. It's about having a conversation with somebody that has a different opinion than you. Like, if
that's how you learn.
But that's how you learn. And even
Yeah.
if we disagree, it's okay. Like, I can say Coors is the worst beer ever.
I'm not against that. It's not good. It's just what I have in the fridge at the moment.
I mean, or I
I'm a
could say
Bud Light guy.
You would be a Bud Light guy.
I'm a Bud
I
Light
do
guy.
not like Bud Light.
You like Corona?
Yeah.
You like Bud Light?
Nope.
Same company.
It's not the same thing.
Same company.
It's not the same thing. But
Okay.
see, we can disagree on a topic and have a conversation.
I'm a Dos Equis guy.
I like Dos Equis.
Nah, it's like
actually.
third on my list. But
See,
I-
Dos Equis tastes like Coors to me.
But you know, I think we've made it. I think social media and news has made it to where we're scared to have a conversation.
Mm.
And then it's exacerbated because you're living in these echo chambers of people that share the same opinion as you. So when you finally hear somebody that differs from you, I can have I can have everything that I'm trying to tell you, or I want to see the best.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to be successful. I want you to
Yeah.
be happy. I want you to have a wife, husband, kids, whatever you want to do. Like, if you want to fucking dress up as a dog and get walked, be happy. I don't give a shit. But I think there is a huge percentage of people with social media that they're surrounded by people that tell them what they want to hear.
Mm-hmm.
So then when they're met with something that's a differing opinion, they're immediately defensive. And it's like, hey, man, put the sword down. Put the sword down. We can be different people and have a
conversation.
Think about families and friends that we've known for years and years and years that had broken up, or people had stopped talking to people because of political beliefs. You know who that person is.
Yeah.
I know you. Like, I've had friends that I'm like, I know your kids.
Yeah.
But you're mad at me for some shit that I just didn't agree with you on. But, like, I know your kids. I know you as a person.
But then do you think, okay, well, then what are the... Because then that goes back to psychological effects. How far has social media and technology in general has changed that psychological effect as far as, like, that reward system in our brain, to where now that I'm not getting rewarded because we're not on the same level, I'm going to be defensive.
I think that's very closed-minded.
Okay.
I think it's closed-minded. I think anytime you're walking into a situation expecting to be right, and I had to learn this. I used to be the fucking worst at it.
You don't say.
It's growth. It's growth. Like, you gotta fucking grow.
Cheers, we're growing.
Yeah. Boom. Like, you gotta learn, but that's a part of maturing. That's a part of becoming the problem is we have 40 and 50-year-olds that are arguing about shit that just does not matter.
Yeah.
And it's like one of the biggest ones that I sit there, and it is the most, like, apparent just misunderstanding of the way that the world works. It's a stupid electric car situation. Is like, you're buying an electric car that's powered by a coal plant, but you think you're saving the world, but it's making
the same
it's
thing.
making us have to use
more coal.
We're using more power. That means we have to produce more power. What are we doing? What are we doing?
Oh my god, my favorite meme was like the gas generator used to power the electric car, and you're still using gas.
But, like, that's the most apparent, I see it and I'm like, you never put two and two together? Like, what did you think was happening? Did you think that, like, Zeus was just like,
Zoop. Yeah, no.
You're like, saving the world, so here.
But it goes to a lack of education.
I don't think it's that. I think that we have enough time to educate maybe not on every topic.
Well, no. Like, a lack of self-education. Like, if I choose not to know something about this topic, I'm not going to know. But
I also think that it's out of sight, out of mind. So this is what I think. That people buy them because they think it's cool. And they play stupid when you call them out. They're like, no. This Tesla it's electric.
Is it solar powered?
Yeah, but how'd you get the power? No. What are you talking about? I slow charge it. Like, I charge it from the thing.
Where did that get power?
And then it's just like, they don't even want to have that conversation. And you're like, okay, cool. Like, I also live in a world of, like, if you're going to do something, and this is how I felt about the pandemic. If you're going to do something, do it. Don't just close some places down. Close all of them. If you're going to go about your business, let's find out how strict we want to be. If you're going to close down restaurants, fucking close down the supermarkets. We're going to find out who's got the balls. Right? You're going to realize maybe you should have had some more redneck friends, right?
Yeah,
But
I
like,
don't
if you're gonna own an electric car and you're gonna hold that thing over everybody else, go buy solar powers, go buy some capacitors and batteries and things to make your house
completely
this
self-efficient,
completely
kind of
efficient.
thing, yeah.
Then it's like, you know what?
Props to
You're the
you.
fucking one. You're the one. Awesome on you. I am.
Hey, but you gotta start somewhere. You can't do everything at the same time.
That's not my problem. My issue is when you fucking treat me different because you think you're doing something so so good. I'm glad you feel good about it. Just don't try to make me feel bad about what I'm doing.
Okay, like, and it's not even about making you feel bad, but don't.
I drive the worst vehicle for that too. Like, as I'm talking about this, my truck is probably polluting and it's not even started.
No, but it's like it's when. Yeah, same.
Yours is probably worse than mine. Shoot.
Shit, no. I have econ mode.
Oh, okay. Yeah, those tires take that away.
It's no.
But like,
Yeah. So I feel like that's such a topic. We gotta go back to that. Is I hate people pushing their opinions and their beliefs on me. Like,
yeah,
I believe what I believe, and if you want to educate me and show me how you believe what you believe, great. I'd love to listen. But that's not gonna change my mind about, and it might, maybe a little bit, but don't force it down my throat. Like, I am allowed to believe whatever.
like this
I
isn't a first
believe.
date. Don't fucking do that to me. Like,
Excuse me, Dylan. You're letting out your diva side. Calm down.
what's up?
Do the hair flip.
No gag reflex, bitch.
We know.
I treat my man good.
That's why you can shotgun beers.
Tongue first, baby. Tongue first.
Oh, you're so horrible.
Nah, it's. But I think that for you to get to that type of thinking, there's a lot of self-reflection. Like, so there was recently, and I feel like I need to say this because I also feel like I'm also like kind of putting off like I'm better than everybody else because I'm so like up here in the way I think.
You're so grown.
So somebody was offering me advice
Uh-huh.
that I already knew. Right?
Okay.
And instead of just being like, hey, thank you. Like, you think you're helping me.
Oh, I know.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, hey, you think you're helping me? Instead of just being like, thank you. Like, that is important. I was like, oh, no, I know.
See, but it depends.
But it was like, I should have just shut up and let that guy feel good about helping me.
But it depends on the context that they said it. Like,
no, they were being genuine.
Okay,
like,
yeah. So, like, if they're being genuine, that's a whole different story. But if they're trying to tell you in a way that, oh, I'm a know-it-all,
like demeaning?
and like, if I'm telling you, like,
they were
you can't do your hair this way because it's wrong, it's different than telling you, oh, you should try your hair this way.
They were being demeaning. Or not demeaning. They were being genuine.
Yeah.
He was genuinely trying to give me advice. And I was like, oh, I know. I was just, like, asking a few questions. But then immediately, like, after I'd left, I'm like,
could have just said thank you.
Yeah, I should have just shut up and been like, you know what? Thank you. Like, there's a lot of people that would have taken that chance to make me look dumb or stupid. And
not even
I should have just been like, thank you. Like, because there's so many people that, like, they want to help, but then they don't know how to help. But then you also, on the flip side of that, you have people that don't want to help at all, but want to shut you down and make it be like, oh, you're stupid. You don't know this. You didn't go to college. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Shut the
See, like, okay, I feel like the whole college thing, we're in a different era, or we're, like, getting into a different era that college isn't as big of a deal as it was, like,
but it
when
makes,
we were, like, in high school.
But I think that it makes people believe they're better than. Which, okay,
not everybody.
I think there's certain aspects. Like, if you're going to be a doctor and you're going through school.
If it's like a trait thing.
Yeah, like, hey, you know more about medicine than I do. Do not let me even act like right? If you're a lawyer, don't let me act. I don't know the law better than you.
Yeah.
You have to learn everything, XYZ, from this to this. You're a real estate agent. Don't let me act like I know the things that you can and can't do.
Thank you for admitting that.
But it's one of those things that there's like people, and it's not a generalization. Like not all college people are, but I feel like that there is and maybe it's just their age, right? Like they're getting so much knowledge and they're getting good grades and they're so empowered because they're young, they're sexy, they're fucking. They got all these girls or guys on their nuts. They're on Tinder and Bumble and Hitch or what, fucking Christian Mingle. Like, Black People Meet. All of these different websites. Like, they're meeting Farmers Only.
Have you been on the? Have you seen that?
No.
No, hold on. Have you seen that Facebook is doing one, or that did one?
Oh, Facebook Date or whatever. Yeah, I actually know some people that like found some people off there.
No way. See,
yeah,
I hate
that's a
dating
weird
apps.
one because that's
okay. Dating apps is a great conversation, a good topic.
but it's like I think that you're in college and you're surrounded by like-minded people that are regurgitating same ideologies. You're all young, you're sexy, you're horny,
Everybody's
you're doing all of
empowering
your things.
everybody.
Then
Yeah.
if you get into a sorority or a fraternity, it's times 10 because now you're getting the opposite sex because you're a part of said thing. But then you get hit with the real. So as you're going through that process, well, why wouldn't I feel better then?
Yeah.
Until you hit the real world and you realize, damn, I got a master's in liberal arts. What do I do with this?
But
That's not to go against liberal arts, because I also have a theory on colleges that counselors need to do their fucking job. They need to.
Yeah.
If
but
you're
then, like, okay, you can have a liberal arts degree or you can have a business degree, and at the end of the day, they're still the same fucking thing because it depends what you do with it. You can go
yes
get,
and no.
You can go get. They don't even look at that anymore. They don't. Oh, you have a bachelor's.
Okay,
Doesn't
so
matter in what. You're hired.
Where I'm gonna say no on that is what you're learning. So okay, so I can understand from like a potential employer thinking that, right? But from a perspective of a business owner, I am going to receive so much more information, and we all know that you learn all of the loopholes and different types of things that you might get with that education in business that you would never get in liberal arts. So I will agree with you on potential employer, but to better yourself in the world of business and learning the trade.
There's so many people that don't even, like, how many people do you know that went to college not for a trade thing and is working in the industry that they studied for?
I mean, I know a few.
Like, actually?
Yeah, I know a few. But this goes back to what I just said. I have an issue with the counseling problem.
Okay.
So you're telling an 18, 19, 20-year-old young, strapping, top of the world, right?
Is that how you
They're
felt
finally
when you
on their
were-
own. They're away from the mom and dad. They're able to do whatever they want, eat Snickers bars at midnight.
Was that what you did?
No, I didn't go to college right out. I went straight into manual labor.
Gotcha.
Like, I went straight into the workforce. But I decided to go to college as I was an adult and knew
what you were looking
what
for.
I was looking for, at least a general vicinity. Well, you have these counselors telling these 18, 19-year-olds that are thinking with completely different motivations than their career path to go into debt, to go into career fields. Well, guess what? If I'm an 18, 19-year-old and I'm just this handsome guy, I'm not thinking about what business class I want. Give me a fucking home ec so I can go meet some sexy girl.
Really?
Oh, maybe not home ec, but
Well,
whatever
not
it is.
home ec, but like,
Give me some English composition. Like,
No way.
give me a class that I can meet girls in. How many young adults are thinking about until they're juniors or seniors?
be. Because
I don't personally know that many, because the other thing that I noticed,
the main thing is, I mean, you go and then you get your set list of classes that you need to take every semester, but that's already like a set list of classes that you need to take.
depends if the counselor does their job.
Oh yeah, I guess.
So here's my argument against that.
Okay.
Right? So we can have a debate about it. How many people changed their major 2-3 years in?
Yeah.
Because they realized whatever they had been doing up until that point was either not what they wanted to do, or they were so far off that it's like, damn, I got to do this shit for another 2-3 years. But that's where I'm at, where I'm like, counselors need to do their job and show people, like a business degree. Hey, this is what you could get with this business degree. And I'm not even going to give you a freedom over what you're taking. You're fucking doing it. Like, it is what it is. These are the openings. These are the prices.
But do you think, okay, that goes back to...
Extracurricular stuff is aside.
Do you think that goes back to... So I didn't go to university or college right off the bat either. I started after I started working. But I sat down and I did my homework of like, okay, this is my end goal. These are the classes that I need to take. This is the classes that I need to take this semester or next semester in order to get the degree that I want when I want it.
Did you? Okay.
But do you think...
You went to a smaller school, though.
Yes. So
I think that has an impact on that.
But my counselor didn't do it.
Really?
Yeah, I did it all on my own. But
they like didn't give you a list of like...
It was all online. I didn't have anybody. I didn't need anybody to give it to me.
Where'd you go?
To SAC.
That's why.
Yeah. So it's like, but then I was about to go to Texas State, and then COVID hit, and I was like, no, I'm not going to college. No, I'm not going to university. But,
okay, but
hold on. Let me finish my thought is, so do you think it goes back to high school education and being more actual college prep to give that mindset to students of like, hey, this is what you're going to want to do for the next 4 years in college. This is what it really means. Like,
I personally believe, I don't think there's a single freaking thing that high school teacher, that high school counselor, that high school whatever is going to tell that kid.
Well, it's not about telling the kid, but it's about like
it
the classes that are mandatory. Like, if finance was required instead of freaking, I don't know what was required. Geography.
Okay.
I don't know. Like,
so this is gonna lead me into another thing that I firmly, like, very strongly feel.
Okay.
So I do agree with you, partially.
To an extent.
Partially. There is nothing that high school teacher is going to be able to do, one, to go against the nature of that 18-year-old horned up, whatever they are, right?
Okay.
To me, that is the household thing.
Okay.
The household depicts on their character. That household depicts how much of a work ethic they have. On the flip side of that, when you're ready to go to college, university, whatever, why in the single F word, why are we doing basics? You're already doing 30, 40, 50, 60 hours that is career-based, directly applicable to what you're going to be doing. Why do I need a psychology class?
I agree with psychology.
But I'm saying, like, if I'm going to be a finance major,
I mean,
it's cool to take.
I feel like psychology is one of those things that like is good to have in your back pocket.
I think everybody should take it.
Yes.
I think everybody should take it. But my thing is, why is it a part of the curriculum? Why do you have to take it? Because it's like one
of those things that's like, why do you have to take health in high school to know?
But I don't. Like, depending on what I'm going to be doing in the real world, that is why I'm like, why do I need to take,
it's like a history class. Like, why do I have to take advanced history of the United States when I'm not even close to being a history major?
But like, okay,
when
so
I'm a nursing major, you know?
so here's my thing: is like if you're gonna be an architect, you're
Uh-huh.
gonna be an engineer.
Uh-huh.
Fuck it, slap me down with all the maths.
Uh-huh.
But if I'm gonna be a paleontologist, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Give me an applicable math to do that. Like, okay, yeah, I need to find out how old this thing is that I'm looking at. I don't need to go through 4 different other
Oh,
things.
calculus.
Like, I have a beef with that.
Okay.
The other reason why I have a beef with that is somebody like me who, bless me, is somebody who went to school late
Uh-huh.
that detracts a 30-year-old from going back and saying, let me go get my education.
Mm-hmm.
Because now they're not just saying, oh, well, I need a master's that's going to take 4, 5, 6 years,
Mm-hmm.
depending on how hard you want to work. Now it's saying, well, it's going to be an additional year and a half, 2 years, because I've been out of school for 12 years, and I have to go take entry-level math, science, whatever, just to get to the level where I can start taking college-level basics. So when you're 30 years old and you're saying, I can't even do the job I'm paying to learn until I'm 35, 36 years old, you're like, nah, fuck it. I'm just going to stay at this job I hate.
But I think that's dependent, though. Because, like, what if you need that level entry math class to do the rest of the math that you need to know for your career?
But I'm not saying get rid of math. But I'm saying
well, not math, but it's just.
But I'm saying like if it's applicable, cool.
Okay.
But to make it a requirement, like why do I need to know how to write an essay or like a composite? Like, I'm not saying don't know punctuation and like how to write stuff.
Because you need that.
I don't need to know
to your like master's level.
But I don't need to know how to write a book if I'm not going to be an author. Now, don't get me wrong. The you know, you need to know how to express your thoughts in written, like being able to write it down. But you can do that. How many people don't know the difference between your and your? You are and your. One's possessive, one's not. Like, there's a lot of people that don't understand the difference between different words, and we understand exactly what they're trying to say. We just understand, hey,
there, and there.
You're wrong. But I don't need to know how to write a book.
Yeah.
I'm not going to write a book. Like, I took English composition, and I'm writing full-blown 10-page essays on a story. And it's like, bro, I'm trying to work in a lab and look at chemicals and bacteria. The fuck are we doing?
Well, you need those writing skills to write proper notes on your lab.
Yes and no. I need to learn how to write scientific, which is, I don't know how much you know about scientific notes. They're not. Yeah, they're not like super. They're not by the book.
No,
like,
I don't think any.
It's like
I don't
waiter
think
talk.
Any job is.
It's like waiter notes. Whenever you're like ordering food and they're just like 2 little letters and it's like this, and this. But it's I'm against basics.
Okay.
And now I'm not against like, hey, if you need to learn math, like I said, if you're gonna be an architect, you're gonna be an engineer, you need to learn that stuff. But if you're gonna learn it, you're a college. You create curriculum. Fucking have architectural math.
Yeah.
Teach me how I get this 90-degree angle and the hypotenuse and da-da-da-da, 3Ds and longitude. Like, teach me the shit. What is trigonometry going to do for me?
You need it for like.
Or you could just, it's a money grab. I think it's a money grab. Just teach me the shit I need to do the job.
Okay.
If not, you're blurring the lines. You're blurring the lines with so much extra stuff, and I feel like it detracts people from the actual. How many, like, and this is just a curiosity of mine. How many more people would graduate college if they didn't have to go through the frivolous BS that you have to go through to get to the meat and potatoes? The shit you actually enjoy, you got to wait at least 2 years to get to the meat and potatoes of it. How many people would actually graduate? Like, what would be the follow?
But then in that case, there should be more trade schools.
I bet it would be higher. Well, I think now they're actually like, I think trades are back on the rise.
Well, yeah, they are. But like making more things trades.
I agree.
Like, if that's the case, like, make a system to where you want to be an architect in 2 fucking years. Make a school.
But that's
for
why
it,
I like,
you know?
that's why I like internships.
Mm-hmm.
However, now I think some, I don't know how true this is because this could be a complete lie, but I'm rolling with it because I feel
Don't quote
confident.
us on anything in this video.
I feel confident in it. I think that there's some career fields, if you intern, they will accept that over education.
Yeah, it's experience.
Like it would be like, oh, we require a master's, but if you have a bachelor's and you interned in that actual job, I think that they would accept it. So
there's a lot of programs like
I am super okay with, because aside from medicine, you can learn any job. You don't need. I live in a world where it's like, college has only been around for a very short period of time in our history. There's like a bug on that light behind you, and it keeps like distracting me. Where? I don't know where it's at, but it's like climbing on the LED light.
What kind of bug?
I don't know. I can't see it.
Why would you tell me?
I don't know.
I'm gonna be paranoid. Kill the bug.
No, I'll tell you if it's next to you. But
it's not
I
a roach,
think
right?
No, I don't think so. It's not big enough.
What do you mean you don't think so?
I can't see it. But like, I live in a world where I think any job besides the jobs that you're not allowed to have an error, it's not on you.
I know, but I'm gonna be so paranoid that you shouldn't have said anything.
I think any job could be learned.
Yeah?
I really do. Think about how many people who build houses, the shit we live in, the buildings that we trust in, like all of that stuff that we do, those are from people that probably had no education.
Yeah.
The people actually doing the work. The ones who are doing the schematics, all right, they're educated as fuck. But like the ones that are actually building it, they probably didn't have any formal education. Okay. So which one? And I guess there's a world where you can respect both. But which one am I leaning? Like, do you think that the guy who built the place could learn how to do the schematics? They built the fucking place. I think so.
Yes.
I think it would be. Now, yes, I'm not saying overnight.
Yes and no, just because it's like somebody who's working the labor part of it, they know how it's supposed to be done and how to do it well. But you take somebody that knows all the other part of it, and they know the laws and the regulations that the person doing the labor work more than likely doesn't want to learn all that.
Well, I'm not saying want. Obviously, that's depending on the person. Yeah. But I'm saying, could you teach that individual? Because I think that I think it's very one-sided. I don't think that you could necessarily teach the guy making the schematics how to build. Because I think it's a different type of person. I think one's a very articulate math, like.
Yes and no, because like you take a foreman. How does a foreman become a foreman? He starts from the bottom. He has to learn everything, and then.
That's my point though. You can take somebody that started at the the manual labor side in building. I think you could teach them the schematic stuff.
Yeah.
Like but if you took the ones that started at schematics and teach them the building stuff, I feel like that's.
But that's.
I don't know.
Yes, because that's something that happened.
Because I know some people that are not good with their hands.
Yes.
They're not good
There's
at
some people
all.
That are not. But it's like.
I also know some stupid people too. So I'm wrong, probably.
So like, and I feel like I saw this a lot, like maybe like 3-4 years ago, to where you would have not kids, but people freshly graduated in a
young adults.
Yeah, young adults
horny, strapping young adults.
Why do you?
Because
Describe 'em.
I remember myself at 18-year-old. I'm not thinking about my career. If I was like going to go to college, I'm not thinking about my career.
That's a very you, because I totally
No.
was.
That's a lot. There are some people that are, hey, we're here to do this. And then there's a huge other group of people that's like, we'll worry about them grades when it's time.
Yeah. Well, anyway, like, you got a lot of young adults that are freshly graduated, hired into an electrical company because they're electrical engineers, and they know all the new laws and all the new regulations. The bug is behind you. But, like, I saw its shadow.
Oh, it's a spider.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
Oh, cutie.
Anyway,
Get rid of it.
so, like, they know all the new laws and regulations, but
You ain't supposed to be here.
they don't know. They have to learn all the handwork of it from somebody that's been in the business for a long time. So it is possible from just knowing the schematics to knowing the nitty gritty.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, that's fair. I think it's different because I think one involves a heavy amount of manual labor, and the other's like, I'm not saying that electrical engineers, it's not.
It was just an example.
No,
Yeah,
but like I had to take electrical engineering whenever I was going through my biomedical degree, and I think you could get away with being like not physically capable in doing that because a lot of it is very like it's tedious.
Yeah.
It's very tedious work. However, I also have electrician friends, and it's like, so there is an amount of respect. Anybody who wants to, because it's like a bunch of finger stuff.
Yeah.
Like there's a very high risk
Yeah.
reward. Is
doing,
like,
yeah.
yo, you get shocked. That's the last time you do that. Like, I don't know. I think I'm jaded.
Dependent.
I think I'm jaded because I come from a manual labor background, but I also have an education. So I think there's part of it that says one is obviously harder than the other in the sense of one, you're waking up every day and I'm doing backbreaking work. It is what it is. That's my job. And then I'm going to be getting paid less than this guy who sits in a trailer and draws on stuff for a living.
Yeah.
So, like, maybe I'm just, like, jaded on that. I don't really know.
But then again, it's like, you got to give credit where credit is due.
We need both. We need both in the world.
Both. But, like, I understand the whole, man, this guy gets to sit in the trailer and make more money because he has the education or whatever.
He also did the education.
But he also did the education.
So, no, I understand both sides of it. But then there's also the other part of me that's like, do we overvalue the education?
Depends on the job.
100%. Because like I said, you don't want your doctor being like, well, I was really good at operation.
Yeah.
But you're like, you want your
the nursing crisis that happened because of COVID.
Don't give me fucking...
Is it back on this side?
No, it's on the ground.
Okay.
I flicked it off. Unless he's already climbed back up. He's a little cutie. He's fuzzy.
Watch me get bit on the podcast.
He's cutie. My mom and my sister both are nurses. And it was just such a weird... Ooh, bless me. Damn beer.
I know. I was like, I probably shouldn't be drinking beer.
It was such a weird moment in history.
Yeah?
Like, it was just weird to, like, wrap your head around how quickly people was against. Like, they went from being heroes to you're the problem. And it's like, what are we doing? Like, more science is out. Like, we know. And that was what I was talking to somebody about, like, recently, was just the political side, how unwilling they were to just admit, hey man, science is out. Let's start peeling back some of this stuff. Like, we put in these stringent things because we wanted to protect people. I think there was a lot of politicians that did it because somebody that was educated told them, hey, we don't know what this thing is. All we know is just keep people away from each other because we don't know exactly how it's done. But once you realize, okay, cool,
But
it's
then you get-
airborne.
But then
it's
you get into all the theories of
theories.
yeah. But see, there's some theories that are true, and because they end up being true.
Well, there was a lot of things that we called theories,
But
and
weren't
then
theories.
it ended up happening, and
Yeah.
it's like that's why. Yeah, it's.
But so like that was one of those things to where, was it all just political propaganda to start a whole new movement of control on the people?
I don't. I think I'm not going to speak in absolutes on that.
Yeah.
I think that there are some people that had grimy little fat fingers into the little lottery box, and they're just like, this is our chance. But then I think that there was other people that genuinely we didn't know. Like, now obviously we can speak in hindsight.
Yeah.
We can say y'all were wrong. Y'all did this and it was all wrong. DeSantos president 2024, whatever. Like, we can talk about all of that. Then though, we didn't know. Like, we didn't know what it did to us. We didn't know how it was spread. We didn't know.
Have you ever had it?
Not officially. I think I had it if it was what I thought it was, it lasted like a day and a half and whatever. My thought process on it was just like, it was just weird about how things happened. They were incapable. It was almost like they had a God complex. Like, they were incapable of just being like, hey,
we're wrong.
Science, because that was the other thing, is we went from science matters to fuck all the science.
Yeah.
It was like, no, let's trust the science until the science points against everything they're saying, and it's like,
well, don't trust that.
no science. We never listen to nerds. What are we doing? No, keep breathing through these masks that on the box it says doesn't work. But it's like, they were incapable of just admitting, hey man, we had it wrong. We had no information. We did what we thought was right. And me as a human being, I'm going to be like,
okay,
you know what?
If that was
Cool.
the case,
Cool.
you thought you were doing right.
You came out, you said we did what we thought was right in the moment, but now the CDC saying so on and so forth. Now different labs from other whatevers, hey, other countries are opening back up.
Have you ever seen, super off topic, but have you ever seen that page on the CDC that's like for zombie prep?
No.
So
When
you go to the CDC and you look up like zombie prep, there's like a whole guideline on it.
I stay away from shit like that.
But I think it's funny, and it's like, this is such a
it's a polarizing topic.
Yeah.
It's a polarizing topic. But it really is just one of those things that, like, I'm optimistic while being a realist.
Yes.
And, like, the optimistic side, I want to believe that they had our best intentions. But then you have people like the mayors of New York and Los Angeles, and they're doing, like, Nancy Pelosi getting her fucking haircut and then getting, like, flipping shit because then played the dementia card when she gets caught. And it's like, what are we doing? Like, what are we?
What's the truth?
Just admit you're wrong.
Yeah.
Just admit you're wrong. Like, there's nothing wrong with being like, you know what? We got information now.
Whether you're wrong or you're right, at the end of the day, it's about the truth.
Your job is to serve us. Provide us with the best. We are electing you to tell us what all of the like, you have a board for a reason. They're telling you the information so you can stand at that stupid little podium, make a characteristic amount of money,
But
that
see, that's
you
not the
shouldn't
way
even
that-
be making.
But yeah, exactly, like, how is that money coming in? You know, that's not how the system was set up.
But
But
you
that's
know what
how
I'm
it-
saying? Like,
yeah.
it's
One
you're
of those
standing up
things.
there and you're spouting off all of this stuff. You're still making money. People are struggling and whatever.
Mhm.
It's like a movie star talking about poor people. What do you really know about poor people? Like,
Yeah.
you've been excluded from that for some time. Maybe you were poor.
Yeah.
I think that there's like a year or two where you just completely forget about poor people. You forget. This is my theory. You remember being poor. You don't remember how hungry you were. You don't feel that hunger no more. You don't feel when you were shivering and cold because you couldn't pay for heat. You remember being cold. It's not the same though.
Yeah, I can agree and disagree because it's like it depends on the person.
I don't. I think you can remember. I think you can remember how it made you feel. But you cannot feel the physical aspect
Well,
of it.
yeah, you can't
It's
feel
like
it's
he-
like you can remember how it made you feel and what you went through and how it affected you,
It's like
but you
it's
can't.
it's
feel-
like
yeah.
pregnancy and having a baby, right? You can remember being pregnant and having a kid and the all of this. If you talk to a woman who just had a kid, she's like, "Yeah, I don't know about that. Like, I don't know if I'm ever doing." But you give them 6 months, and they're like,
But I think that's a completely different
"No, but I don't.
thing.
But I don't think. I think what it is like you remember the process, but you can't feel the 20 hours you spent. And you know what I'm saying? Like, you remember, oh man, that hurt. But I think the more time that you separate from it, it's like, yeah, was it that bad or is it in my head? Like, I don't really.
No, I disagree with you on that.
I don't know.
I broke my back and I remember how high.
But is your back feeling the same? Maybe that's a little bit different because that's a physical.
pain that
Like, if you break a bone, you might still feel it 20 years later. But it's still not the same as when you broke it.
But it's like
I think
you can compare it to a pregnancy because your body is not the same after a pregnancy.
But what I'm saying is like when you go through that whole, like when you're having a child and you're going through the pain, like there's that thing that it's like you're going through that whole entire process and feeling the pain, the contractions.
I think I understand what you're trying to say.
Maybe I'm just
but
not
you're not
saying it right.
the right way. If I'm pinching you, you're gonna remember how I pinched you, and you're gonna remember how it felt. But when I let go, you can't feel that pinch anymore.
But you remember, like, hey, that was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I think that's what happens whenever you become successful, and you're like wealthy. You remember what it was like to be hungry, poor, and whatever, but you're not feeling the same
because
way.
you're not in the same place anymore.
No, but like my point is like, so how do you? It's like you might remember it, but you're out of that now.
Okay.
Like, and that's like my thing with politicians is like, you say you're for the people, but you make $500,000 a year and live in a gigantic house.
Yeah.
Are you really for the people? Like, you're not.
You're not living in it anymore. How can you speak?
I'm trying to think of the word. You're so like disassociated with what you're referring to that how can you actually represent it properly? Right?
Okay, I can see your
like
point.
a politician speaking about like impoverished areas.
Okay, when was the last time you were out there?
When was the last time you were out there in
Okay.
Southside Chicago?
I can understand
Right?
your point now. Yeah.
Like that's kind of like what I mean. You're like so far removed from what you're referring to, and that's like whenever you're talking about people in the movie industries, you have $50 million. Don't talk to me about what?
About poverty.
Like
yeah.
I can sit there and talk about Jim Carrey, and Jim Carrey was homeless and he slept in the back of his car before he got his break. But do you think that Jim Carrey can speak on that the same way as he could when he was going through it?
No.
I think it's a different.
Yeah,
I think it's a different feeling.
I understand what you're saying now.
Yeah, sometimes
like-
I have thoughts and I can't like fully like.
Use words.
That's why I like podcast form. I get to explain
thoughts.
thoughts.
I'm the same way. Sometimes it's like my words are not working. Just give me like
Like
10
me,
minutes.
like me, like I can. I remember when I was broke and I would go several days without eating, right? I don't feel that thing anymore though.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
doesn't
'cause
mean
you're
that
not-
doesn't mean I didn't learn something from it.
No.
It just means
It
like
doesn't mean you forget. It just means you're not in the same place.
but I also can't talk to somebody who's going through that shit now and be like,
Oh yeah, man, I get it.
you know what I'm saying? It's like
yes,
'cause
yes and no, yes and no, because it's like it doesn't mean you don't get it, but I can imagine like shit. You have a house, you have food, you do this, you do that, and you're talking to me about what I'm going through.
I think it
Like,
I think it 100% depends on the person.
yeah,
Like if I was to put myself in that like back in that mindset of where I was and somebody was like, "Oh, I'm coming at you kind of all-knowing, altruistic, like I
See,
know what I'm talking."
that's
Then I
different.
would be like, "Get out of my face."
That's different because if it's like if somebody's coming at you in an all-knowing kind of way, then yeah, I'm not
But
gonna
isn't
listen
that-
to you.
but-
But it's different than somebody saying, "Hey, man, I've been there. I get it. Keep pushing through. If you need anything, let
Intent.
me know."
I think
Yeah.
it's intent.
It's the intent. Yeah, yeah.
But
Yeah.
as an individual, I can come to you with intent. You kind of understand my intent,
Yeah.
right? You think Beyonce, I'm going to understand her intent? You're making money off of whatever you're saying.
Yeah.
What's your intent? So, I think it's different, and maybe that's just like me not. I don't know because it's so because they could really mean what they're saying, but because I understand that they're in the business, and you know what I attribute it to? They're fake. They're fake.
Yeah.
They're fake 99% of the time. So maybe that 1% of that 1% where they're being real, we don't know it because they're so fake the rest of the time and just spewing BS that.
And I wouldn't say 90% of the time, but at the end of the day, their image is what they're selling.
They can.
It's like selling a car.
I think it's more than. I think it's way closer to 100%. Like you're talking about, if you're name 5 conservatives in Hollywood.
I couldn't even tell you.
Cause it's hard. Cause you really can't be. Cause it goes against their agenda.
Yeah.
Right? Like you have to follow guidelines. It's not there no more. You have to follow guidelines that they like align with,
Yeah.
or they're not going to cast you. Chris Pratt's probably like, you know what I mean? Chris Pratt, like Clint Eastwood, like guys like that, like some of those like machismo, like they're the, you know, hot muscly dudes or with person like those guys I think you can get away with it because they fit a certain persona.
No, I mean I get what you mean, but I feel like the conservatives in Hollywood are, I know that there's some, but they're people that you wouldn't expect them to be.
When I say Hollywood though, I'm like mass Hollywood.
Yeah.
Like consistently,
like super famous mass Hollywood.
Yeah, like consistently in films. And like maybe it's becoming more prevalent now, but there's comparison to the amount of like,
I mean, everything that happened with like the most recent Hollywood scandal with the whole My Pillow thing. Did you see that?
That was a lot of conspiracy though.
Yeah.
Okay, but to be fair, like
everything else in the image was wrong, and I completely disagree with. But then
the My Pillow guy is off his fucking rocker.
Yeah.
Right? Like.
Yeah.
It's a weirdo.
Yeah.
He's a weirdo.
Yeah.
Like, there's some things where I'm like, all right, y'all had wrong, but I'm like, homie, you're what they're talking about. Like, you're
the problem.
If it was just this one moment, then I would be like, all right, maybe they caught him in a bad moment. No, it's a lot of it's like the Papa John's guy. It's like, bro, just
the Papa John's guy.
Oh my God. Yes.
Tell me.
The Papa John's guy has been a part of so many conspiracies.
No way.
Yes. It's so funny because he's still rich, but like he's just
Hey, I ordered Papa John's is the only one that delivers to my house.
Now, I'm not saying that their pizza's bad. I'm just saying the guy who founded the joint he's interesting.
Huh.
Yeah, but that's another weird one because it's like so people that are conservative will literally donate to the My Pillow guy just because he aligns with a certain ideology, and it's like, but he's a fucking weirdo. But he's a weirdo. I'm not giving this dude money.
If people give him money?
What? Yeah, they were like campaign because he was losing money from like sales.
Right.
So they were literally having like politicians go out and be like, support My Pillow guy because the left wing or whatever people are trying to attack him. And like it became a whole ordeal.
Oh, that's right.
They had like
I didn't know how I didn't know to the extent.
It was
I've
horrible.
Kind of been off politics for
Like,
the last 2
I
years.
knew that it was bad when Ben Shapiro was talking about it, and I'm like, oh my god, it got that far? Like, Jesus. Holy cow. And he, he talks in his fast lawyer jib.
Yeah.
But I'm like, come on, man. Oh, these people, like, it just...
Let's just press the restart button.
You can't. We're
No.
so far. I think we're coming back. I think normal people are becoming more attractive. Like, I think it's becoming...
You think you're normal?
I think I'm fairly normal. Like, the way that I would actually say maybe a little more elevated just because I'm, like, willing to have my mind changed,
Uh-huh.
right? Like, I may have certain things that I feel...
What's up with all these bugs?
Dude, it's because it's cold.
Yeah.
And construction sites right over here. I think I'm fairly normal. Like, I say a bunch of stupid stuff. But I also, like, I'm, for the most part, fairly lighthearted. Like, I don't really
you're
take...
pretty lighthearted.
But I think I'm normal. Like, I think if...
I don't feel like a lot of people realize how lighthearted you are.
like, somebody can come to me and
It's because you have a very strong voice. Like, your tone. You just
Think
have
so?
a strong tone, yeah.
I hate the way I sound. I like listen to myself on... Because I have to go over every recording because I edit them.
Uh-huh.
And I hate the way I sound. But... I'm very misunderstood. Like, people think
Me
of...
too.
Like... They all hate me.
I'm emo.
Donate to My Pillow. Follow me on Twitch.
Follow me on Twitch.
It's just
Subscribe to my
I'm
channel.
very misunderstood because like I'm one of those people that you can just talk to
Mhm.
unless you want my opinion.
Yeah.
But if you want my opinion, I'm gonna tell you my
honest,
opinion.
yeah.
So like I've even had moments where like somebody would get mad at me and they're like, "You're talking shit about me." Okay, well, tell me what they're saying. Like, what are they saying that I'm...
Talking, yeah.
Inform me. Because right now, I'm like, I know that I don't... Anything that I say to somebody else, I would for sure tell you to your face.
Yeah.
And she'd be like, oh, you said this, this, and this. And I'm like, I've had the conversation with you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Why were you ever mad at me? Like, what are we doing here, man?
Yeah.
But I get it. There's also a lot of times I'm talking completely out of my rear end and like...
Do you feel like everything is so sugar-coated in conversation nowadays?
That's a battle. That's a battle with me. Is because I know that I'm capable of hurting feelings, but my personality, I hate hurting feelings.
Yeah.
Now, I understand that it's like a necessary evil. Sometimes you gotta be like, cut the crap.
Yeah.
Just be done with it.
See, I feel like
But I also never intentionally
hurt
want...
somebody.
I'm not gonna be like,
Oh, no.
you're ugly, ha ha ha. No, it's not like that. But I would be like, what are you wearing? Like, don't...
I feel like there's a particular way to say things. Like...
I'm the worst at that. My
Yeah.
tone is almost always wrong, but that's why it requires
Well, that's why I
people
say
to
like
know
you
me.
have a very strong, stern tone. Like
Because I'm confident in the shit that I'm saying.
yes, But because of your tone,
even if it's wrong.
but because of your tone, people don't realize how lighthearted you are.
But that goes back to what we were talking about earlier, though. Like, people don't give you a chance to explain yourself. Like earlier, whenever I was trying to explain something and you're like, hey, I think I understand what you're saying. You're just saying it wrong.
Yeah.
That happens a lot. Not just to me, to other people.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are misunderstood.
But
And I can openly admit, like, I don't think that what I'm saying is coming through this mouth gullet.
But see, okay, I feel like that's another thing is I feel like not enough people are listening anymore. Like, we've been friends for how long? We've been friends for a little while already.
Wild West, dog.
Oh, damn. It's been since R.I.P.
That's
Wild
at least,
West.
like, probably 5 years.
Yeah. Well, anyway,
4 or 5
it's
years.
like,
I don't know how long it's been closed down, but
apart from that, it's just like, it's being able to sit down with somebody and take the time to, oh, he's saying it in this tone, not because he's being an asshole, but because that's just the way he is. And it's not with ill intent. It's just nobody has told him, hey, your tone of voice comes off this way. Maybe say things in this way, you know? And it's just like, it goes back to, I think what we were originally talking about.
Yeah.
Was like just the intent that you have with people and being able to sit down and talk and listen.
But that's learned.
Yeah.
Like, you have to learn somebody's intent. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can know somebody and you know if they got you.
Yeah.
Or you could know somebody and you're like, we were talking about that earlier. It's like,
how much do you got me?
Do you got me? But then
Yeah.
there's, we all have those friends that you look at and and you're like,
see, okay, I do like,
yeah.
I do this, not this test, but like I think about it to where, I mean, I have big tires. If I were to ever get a flat, I can't lift them. I mean, if I really, really tried, maybe.
That's why you need
But
a
it's
crowbar.
like,
I'll teach you a trick.
No. Like I have like all my tools and stuff, but like to get my spare off and then put it on and all that good stuff, like who would I call if I needed help? And there's not a lot of people I could really call. I mean, like there's like there's 2-3 people I can call, but like that's one of those things to where
there's another aspect to that. And this is recent for me. Is there's people I could call, and then there's people I would want to call.
Yeah.
So, like, I have people that I could call, and I know they got me. But then there's other people that I'm like, no, I'm not going to call them. Yeah. I don't know. I don't 100% know why it's like that, but that is a thing.
Okay, but I feel like that goes back to, like, the history you have with that person. I need because like it happened to me today. I needed something done, and I'm like, man, the only person that I know how to do this is XYZ person. Am I gonna ask for that help?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I was like, you know what, whatever. Everybody's an adult. I can ask for a certain thing, and then the worst thing that they can tell me is no, and it's fine. But it was like one of those things to where it's like a pride ego thing as far as like getting the word no.
I think mine isn't like that. I think mine is more of like, am I taking advantage of the situation because I know that they would tell me yes?
Gotcha.
So then it's a matter of like, what have I done for this other person? So it's reciprocal. Right? Because if it's like, if I'm going to ask one of my friends who's got it, like, they just got it, they never need my help, they never need my advice, they're just a well-rounded individual, I'm probably not asking that person because I'm asking them for help and I can't reciprocate it. Right?
See,
so I
couldn't see things that way.
But I don't think that because I would feel like I'm taking advantage of them, because at the same time, it would be like, whether it's me take you out to dinner, me buy you some beer, how can I help you out? And there's certain people that I could do that for, and there's other people that I just can't. So I think that plays a little, because I'm not afraid of somebody telling me no. It is what it is. People are busy. We're humans. But it's me being who I am. I feel like I've
If
never
you can't give anything in return, you're not gonna ask for
yeah,
anything.
like I'm never
Yeah.
one of those people. I'm a very grateful person. If you
Mhm.
help me in a time of need, how can I repay you?
Yeah.
That's how I'm already looking before I even send that text. How am I going to be able to pay this person back? Because if they say yes,
Yeah.
hey. And that's just kind of like, maybe that's not a good way to look at it, or maybe it's a great way to look at it. I don't know.
I don't know, cause like I've never thought of, like, again, like if I got a flat tire and I'm like, man, who would I call? And I call
Ghostbusters?
I call XYZ person, and I know they would show up and help. And I don't think there's anything like in particular that I can do to repay them back, because they're not gonna want repayment.
Yeah.
But I don't see it as a transactional thing.
Do
It's one of those things to where I'm just a very grateful person and a very appreciative person. I know I will find the time to show my appreciation, and not necessarily to pay them back. It's a
yeah.
it's
But do you think?
because I don't see it transactionally.
But do you think? Trying to think of how to say this.
I think a lot.
No, do you think that could be a difference in gender, like how genders may think, right? Because like as a man, I'm kind of almost have to I'm forced to think transactionally, because in the world that we live in today, it's like, what can I do for you? What can you do for me?
Actually, no. I think it's I again recently had this conversation with somebody that everything is transactional now. Like,
No, it is.
If you can't give me anything, I'm like, I don't want you.
But I think
But
men,
also, like,
I think men genuinely think about that more, because we're used for what we're capable of more.
maybe if like a men to men thing. I don't know. Like,
Well, because I'm not gonna call a woman to come change my tire.
I can change your tire.
Mine's as big as yours. You're just talking about calling people.
I can help.
I'll stand.
I know
by.
how. I'll tell you what to do.
But that's why, and I'm not asking like from a derogatory sense.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I genuinely, because there's also women out there that are very machismo minded. That's like,
see, and that's where like I was gonna get to, but like there's women that, well, I'm not gonna take anything from anybody because I can do it all by myself.
which I think is a bad way to look at shit too.
Yeah, I agree.
I think
like,
we all need help.
Yeah, everybody needs help, and it's from any gender. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot. Like, I can't reach the top shelf sometimes, at HEB, and I can't find women tall enough to help me, so I have to go flag a random man down that's tall enough to get the top
That's
cereal
different though,
box.
because like I don't look at that shit as transactional, but I also don't have that
but,
issue.
Like, you can like break it down or make it into something bigger to where, I don't know.
Like I think of it in the
I feel
sense
like
of
dating right now is very transactional.